What's up, legends? Welcome back to the demo cast. My name's Jack. I'm here with my co-host Alex. What's going on, man?
Mate, just keeping it alive. I've really got to think of something better to say for that.
I don't ever have a rebuttal for that. I don't know what I could possibly say to keeping it alive.
I mean, the alternative is keeping it dead, I guess.
I don't have a rebuttal for that either. Anyway, it's been happening. Other than keeping it alive, I guess.
Back at work, mate. Properly, officially. First week back. So, been wishing I was not keeping it alive. No, just that. Really trying to just keep on top of things. The first week back always feels a little sticky mentally, I guess, because you've just had so much time off and you want to keep waking up at 10 o'clock and going to bed at 1, doing all sorts of fun shit.
I have had a rough time not having a sleep at 1 p.m. every day.
I have never been able to sleep through the day. I don't know what it is. I have such a tantrum if I'm tired through the day and I want to have and I'm gonna have a nap or something. I feel like I've wasted my life. Everyone talks so highly of day naps though, so I think the issue is me.
I feel like naps can be a bit of an extreme sport, but to be honest, it's 50-50 whether you wake up feeling better or worse.
Do you set an alarm?
Yeah, but if I have properly fallen asleep, I'll turn that bitch off and I'm going to continue.
How do you get back? This is not even close to what we were talking about. How do you get back to bed after that? Like, just say you have a sleep at 1, you sleep for like 4 hours. Is your bedtime now pushed out 4 hours?
I usually try to not push it out the same amount of time that I slept for. I got home from work yesterday. I got home at 4 and just immediately went to bed and woke up at 7. And that was a bit problematic because then I was awake at 7 o'clock and I had to I went and cooked dinner and had dinner and then was like, well, now I need to go to bed again because I have work tomorrow. So that was a bit weird, but I obviously needed a nap because I was tired and cranky and went home.
That's fair. I've definitely called you in the early afternoons that you've not answered, and I was like, this dude's is napping for sure. Yeah, geez. It works good though? Your house is good?
Yeah, no, it's been good. It felt weird being back at work, to be honest, but pretty good week. It's less chaotic than previous years we've had because obviously we're like an e-com business. So even when we shut down, the customers don't. So previous years we've come back to much more chaos than we have this year, which is nice. But yeah, just kind of getting back on top of everything, getting the ball rolling for the new year. So
that's always that. I guess like retail's very similar of just because you want to have some time off, and especially like in a product where people are probably breaking it and scratching it and stuff at the time that you'll want to have a rest. But no, that's good. How's the foot?
Well, feels good. We rode again on Wednesday. The foot is feeling good. Foot just feels normal. So keen to get out on some bikes a bit more. I haven't really posted much bicycle content on Instagram for a little bit, but I've kind of enjoyed, I guess, taking a little bit of a fresh take on kind of the content that I'm putting out anyway. And there's something that I want to continue to do for this year. I actually posted a story about it yesterday, about showing more of the behind the scenes of me kind of building and operating demo as a media business. Table's shaking like crazy. I don't know.
So bad.
Yeah, you can't see it in the video. Oh well. Yeah, so I guess kind of switching up my main content pillar for so long has been me writing. But kind of cool, I think, and refreshing to switch that up a little bit and kind of focus on showing a bit more of the behind the scenes of kind of everything that I do with demo, which is, yeah.
I've had a couple conversations with you about you wanting to explore a different side of it, and I know that you enjoy, especially with the Insta 360 camera as well. Seen some both beautiful and shocking shots come out of those, which is such a cool thing. But it's good that you get into, like move into different avenues and stuff, even if it's not always like riding with it. Do you find any like sticky parts, like moving into a different point, being that you have such like an ambitious drive to go in like the direction of action sports, and rightly so because it's been successful for you. But do you get any of that like backlash or like ambitious sabotage type thing because you're going in a different route?
For sure. I think, and this is something that we kind of touched on a little bit in the last episode about me talking about like the goals that I had surrounding followers and stuff. Definitely noticed as the focus of my content has shifted. I've had a lot of new followers roll in, but like a lot of old followers drop off the back end as well. Like pretty much like for the last, I don't know, however many months, the amount of followers I've gained in a certain month, I've lost that plus 10%. So, and that's just the nature of like, there might have been people that followed me initially from, some of the like GoPro content that I filmed of like us learning how to do backflips, or like people just, I guess, following it for like writing content that are not necessarily interested in filming. And now I'm posting all this stuff about filming and I guess like the behind the scenes of me creating content for brands and stuff as well. It's like not necessarily the same demographic.
But that's sort of like a development of the craft, right? Like you started and the craft existed because you enjoyed the sport and stuff. But now that the craft's there and it's ingrained within everything you do, of course you want to explore that, and there's new things, and as you develop inside that craft, you learn new things that, I mean, you might have wished were tutorials when you were like trying to figure stuff out and so on from there. So it's like an understandable. You see it in like a few things where people start to move into that, like they're now the item that was the facilitator is now the front focus as well.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know, it can be a little bit discouraging, but I think that's something that's pretty natural. Like whenever you kind of have that shift in focus, like the followers that you had are not necessarily going to be the new followers that you have. So for sure, just like, trying to navigate that a little bit. I think a lot of the like my goals surrounding like content this year is a lot about like lowering the difficulty level for myself. So
do you mean difficulty of input? Oh, you might just have been about to answer this and I've cut you off. But do you mean like difficulty of input, or difficult as like it's just a strain to like go to places or things that are out of reach? Sorry if you were literally just about to answer that.
No, so I guess just reducing the barrier to entry for myself. So I think I can't even remember where I saw this, but it kind of comes up again and again and again, and people like kind of talking about, being a content creator, doing that kind of stuff, is you get so hung up on trying to make something perfect, where if you lower your standard a little bit, that allows you to put in more reps, which in turn raises your standard. So you end up with a higher standard, but still the lower barrier to entry. And it's not about making content that's worse quality, but it's about giving myself the ability to not get hung up on every single piece of content that I create, and then just continue to make it more and more difficult for myself.
So like learning how to polish finer points rather than trying to make the one big thing or spectacular and perfect. Learn little bits off little bits until that equates to the larger picture.
Yeah. I think a cool analogy for it that I thought about the other day is kind of like if you're going to start like weightlifting, you're not going to be like, well, I'm only going to deadlift 200. And I'm not going to deadlift anything until I can do that. You're just not going to do it. You got to start doing deadlifts small, and you got to do deadlifts like, 3 times a week, and you slowly, incrementally like bring up your weight. You're not just going to go, well, I'm going to do 200. It's just not going to happen. So you got to put in, it's the same. You just got to be able to do the reps. But if the barrier to entry is too high, or the weight is too heavy to lift, you won't be able to do the reps to get to that point. And I think it's very much, you can apply that logic to so many things. And it's something that like we discussed just before we kicked this off about like, we had one of our reels go up yesterday and the formatting was wrong. And I was like, oh, whatever. Like it is what it is. We'll just continue on. Like it'll be buried in the feed. No one will ever know, whatever.
Yeah, because what's the the alternative? Right, pull it down, go back through. Fucking just move it on. Oh, that's a swear jar. Dang.
We actually don't have a.
Oh, that's the first profanity we've had. Dang it.
But yeah, so instead of pulling that down, going re-editing, whatever, be like, oh, we made a mistake, whatever. It just lives on the internet now, whatever. It doesn't actually matter. Sidebar, quote that I find.
We're both in. That's $20. I need a little checker. $20 in.
$20, far out. Anyway, relax. I forgot the quote. No, the quote that I heard the other day about someone being, I guess, kind of scared of like beginning to create content or whatever. Like, oh, well, what if it sucks? Like, what if if it sucks, no one will see it anyway because they're not going to get any views.
Yeah, that's fair. That is very fair.
So if it sucks, it doesn't matter.
And we've all had a MySpace or an old Facebook. We've all posted horrible content before. I did just realize something right then. This is slightly off topic, but with the switching cameras now, thanks to Jamie behind the scenes, if I like just then was just having a complete brain fart thinking about something completely different, but it was all caught on because it was on my camera and I'm just like zoned out. If you're a Spotifyer, just go to 12 minutes, 11 seconds in and and you'll get to see me have a meltdown on camera in real time. Oh, Jesus. No. Sorry, Jake.
Well, also, I didn't realize this when we were recording the last episode, but the video is also on Spotify now.
How does that work?
The video just plays on Spotify.
So Spotify does videos now as well?
Spotify does short form video now as well. We can be uploading our shorts onto Spotify. I haven't figured out how to do it yet. I haven't looked into it yet, but we can post short form vertical videos on Spotify and there's like a TikTok style feed to discover podcasts.
Interesting. One, really glad that you're back on our socials. Two, I hate this table.
I don't know why it's so rickety today. I swear we didn't.
Today.
Maybe we didn't have this drama last time because I didn't have my laptop and I didn't have my arms on the table. Because as soon as I put my arms on the table, everything shakes.
Wild.
Anyway, they're the kinks we're going to continue to work out, I guess.
Yeah, we had some good feedback that I believe has been resolved at this point, but I like it. Keep it coming because I enjoy the setup of this and so on from that. That's though if you were in the room, you would assume I don't enjoy the setup, as I'm sure you can attest for. But yeah, I get with it. But back on track, I wanna discuss ambition sabotage because I noticed something. I noticed something between you and I that my ambitious drive is like tough love. I like the make it harder, make it harder, make it harder, make it harder. My sabotage is I'll tell myself, just have a little break. Why don't you just have a sit, right? Like go have a lay down, think about it. That's me bombing myself out. Yours is you sit well in your brain so you can your like big drive is like, right, let's think about it, let's streamline it, let's make it simple. Have a look at the actual picture. Your sabotage is make it harder, or discipline. It's odd that we are the opposites on that, but then got me like thinking, what is everyone's like drive and sabotage from it? Really, do you have anything to add on to that?
I definitely agree that we flip like we're the like polar opposites on that, and I think for me, I really need to be able to have the room in my brain to be able to like, whether it's a project or even if it's something like the podcast. You know what I mean? Like there's work that needs to go on into that, and if I don't have the space in my brain to be able to, I guess like I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I need to have the space to be able to function. I guess where when I get to the point where I'm stressed or the fun comes out of it, like I was saying in the last episode, like the handbrake comes on as soon as the fun's gone. So that stress just puts me in like a metaphorical straitjacket where I just cannot accomplish anything. And as soon as I start to get like locked up or I have that like internal tension in my brain, it just everything stops.
With your like visual room in your head, is it like a clutter thing? Like when you have the space to make things like, right, so the pod goes over there, demo goes over there, house goes over here, wife in the middle, like stuff like that. So everything's got its space and its room. But then when it starts to get cluttered, it's like, well, this spill into this, and like I can't go over there because that's now in the way, and so on, like that almost.
Yeah, it's almost like the walls start closing in a little bit and just everything gets pushed together. And it's like, not that everything necessarily is overlapping, but there's no room for me to move between stuff. I just get sandwiched in the middle of everything. And like
Which is real silly, but my like visual representation of your clean room, but for like me, is you need to go. Mine's like real basic. Is I need to go from here to here, A to B. The best way to leave A, because A is comfortable, is burn it down, because it's on. You will burn you. You're on fire now. Quickly get out and move to this point. And so like I have to just keep adding pressure to the situation essentially, and then making it a thing of like, right, this now is a problem. We need to move for it. Because if it's comfortable, I don't action the best whilst it's like discomfort. I move well in comfortable. I'm not doing anything.
why do you think that's the case? Do you have any intuition into like why you think that's the way you operate? To be fair, if you were to ask me the opposite or the same question of like why I operate the way I do, I have no idea. But do you have any intuition as to why you think that is?
This is sort of related, but also slightly off topic on it. But it's a conversation that Sarah and I had recently of my my upbringing. Everything was like a fight or flight type thing, right? And so if you need anything done, it had to all be done by fight, right? Regardless if that's like a physical, mental, whatever it is, but everything had to be done with like aggression and under a certain pace, or nothing got done in any way. And so like we were doing something the other day, and I was very like wound up. Though it would have appeared I was wound up, that was just my like function through it. What I was, to me, sunshine and lollipops, right? But like on the outside, I was like having a moment, but not at all. It's just my reaction to most things are like burn it down to make sure you get away from it or it's done. Like that's your like, it's weird because I can feel it when it's happening, but it's like a rage type thing, not in a like a angry way at all, but just in a like everything was very like attack. Like everything had to be attacked with everything 100% all the time, or nothing got done. Nothing moved, both like in my house and my family, and like how people around me reacted to. It's very like that's all you've seen as well of like, well, this didn't go well, right? So let's use violence to make that. I don't mean violence in like a physical violent thing, but like aggression. Use aggression to move forwards with it. You use it like, this didn't go your way. Okay, so use aggression. What, that bolt's not going. Get the hammer. Like, yeah, the old gentle persuasion for stuff. Like it was always like aggression for things. There was never a time of like, all right, let's sit down. Why isn't that moving this way? There was never. Oh, holy shit! I was never taught how to like sit down and like focus things through. It has always been attack. That is it. Did we just learn something?
Maybe. As you were saying that though, I was kind of thinking about what my answer would be to that question as well. And I think for me, just being a creative person in general. Like I've always been, I guess, like the creative type. I've always had creative jobs, whether like through graphic design or well, technically still a graphic designer now, but running demo as like a videographer. Like I've always had these really creative outputs. Like played music as a kid. Like everything that I've always done is been creative. Even writing to me is about being creative. And I can kind of see some of this in my writing as well, of when I'm like, when it starts to get hard for me, I get in a spot where I'm struggling with writing mentally a little bit, then the creativity side of it struggles a little bit, and then I enjoy it less. But I think the reason that I kind of function the way that I do is if you try and sit down and you try really hard to be creative, nothing comes out. You have to have enough like free space in your brain for the creativity almost like has to come to you. You can't force it. And I think that's just how I operate in general, is that I have to have space for the solutions to problems or the creativity or whatever it is, the ideas that I want to work for. Any of that has to almost have the room to be able to come to me. I can't force it into existence. And I think that is just kind of comes along with, I guess, being a creative person in general.
Yeah, and that's fair. You definitely see that. Like writing's a good way to look at that. Is like, yeah,
I'm sure you've seen me shut down at parks before just because like I've gotten into a battle with a trick and I'm just like, I can't get through this thing. And yeah, it's like those walls closed in and I just get compressed, and then the creativity's gone, the like enjoyment's gone, and then I just like shut down. I'm like, I hate this. This sucks.
Yeah, I notice it in our fear walls. Is like you're like, right, well, I need to like think about, and you'll watch like shots back and be like, right, how did I do this? Like, and where mine is, go swing, just like quickly run in. Actually, we've had it at Boomers. I was like, I'll lead, because if I have to think about it, I won't do it. Like, let's just go. Like, yeah, very much so. Thought burdens me. Yeah, I another fun way between you and I of doing this is like, even when we set things up, like I have to, like it has to go now. Like we're doing it. Let's do it all right now. Let's go. Where like I don't like to sit on things or think about stuff. Like even in here was one of them, and I was like, right, we need this. Let's go. What's the time? When does this shut? Let's go. Like very attacky. Yeah.
I think when I definitely get in that rhythm as well of like once I think I kind of need that, not necessarily slow start, but I just need the like mental capacity to be able to like have that like the room for stuff. Because if I just get faced with a problem, and I think it's as a very broad term, like just stress that binds me up, whether that's in our writing with a fear wall, like that fear is stress. Whether it's like physical stress, like I'm exhausted, like these are all things that kind of like bind up that whole system for me. So, but I can still get into that rhythm where I'm like, okay, I now have the vision of how this is all going to work. And then kind of, I can still execute quickly from there. But if I am like bound up by that stress to begin with, I just shut down. I can't even make the decision of like, oh, sweet, we need cables. Let's go to JCar. Like, we've got to get stuff done. I just lock up and be like, well, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I can definitely get in that too.
Yeah.
Like like overwhelmed quickly, and like that's a snowball. Hey, like that. There is no brakes on the whelmed train. Like it'll just steamroll you for all sorts. On that though, how, because there's a few things that I think help alleviate stress for me, and like how I bring it back. I mean, exercise is one. Get outside. I seen a great thing which I thought was so simple. We say this all the time, of like, it's amazing the things that people say help. Hey, how rude of them to be accurate and trying to help us. But get outside. Oof, that was almost another $10. Get outside and walk. Just like if you're having a bad day, get outside and walk. If you just had a fight with your partner, get outside and walk. If you're feeling stressed about something, get outside and walk. The get outside and walk is like such a big thing. Just a little bit of exercise.
I had that in my notes actually of like my, I guess the few things that I've got here.
Jack's notes for everyone at home just says, I like that's on his face, just says, don't stuff it up.
That's not true. It might be true. So for me, I guess the surrounding concept with this for me, and the best way that I can describe it to myself is that like to be able to function effectively and being able to execute on plans or execute on even just things that like I need to do, whether it's at work, whether it's inside of demo, whether it's stuff to do with the podcast or whatever. If I need to like just have the ability to execute on whatever it is that I'm working on, there has to be some level of inner peace that I have within myself. And I think that's the best language that I have to describe kind of how that mental space feels for me, that I actually have enough space for solutions to actually present themselves to me. I don't have to like force my way through stuff. And this was something I was talking to Katie about the other night, just in general, with whether like the analogy that I like is that you can kind of grit your teeth through stress. Stress is like a very overarching term of, whatever it is that's kind of like stopping you from, achieving things. You can either kind of grit your teeth through the stress and kind of be a brick wall to the punches that are coming in and kind of like hold on for dear life and like just muscle your way through it, which I think is kind of your approach a little bit.
Yeah, very much so. It's exactly. Aggression. Yeah.
So you can have this approach of kind of just like gritting your teeth, holding on, muscling through, because those punches aren't going to go, you're not going to punch a hole through a brick wall, but you're also not going to punch a hole through a curtain. So, and that's how that mental space feels for me when I have that inner peace and I kind of feel like I have the freedom to kind of like move around and I guess just like work my way through stuff. It's very much like punching a curtain. It's like stuff can go wrong in any sense, whether it's a project that I'm working on, if someone cuts me off in traffic or whatever, it's kind of like, it's like trying to punch a curtain. You can do it, but it's not going to do anything. But the curtain can also be pulled tight with stress, and then you have dramas with, maybe you will punch a hole through a curtain if it's pulled tight enough. But that's kind of the way that I feel that I move through stuff. It's very hard to describe mental process.
I like that. So like I enjoy, because how I visualize that is you are the curtain, and then if things are good and you're nice and fluid, things can come at it. And you're right. I would like to see someone try and punch through a flaccid curtain, and like I'm not sure what the actual technique a loose curtain anyway. Because it's just gonna roll through it. But yeah, and as the stresses build up, there's more tension on it, and then each hit then I guess is felt by what is the structure, what is holding the curtain up at the end of the day.
Yeah. So I think like big ones for me, probably the biggest thing for me that helps with that inner peace and just being able to be like, kind of fluid, like. And then things can go wrong, you know what I mean? I can kind of like roll with the punches, as cliche as that term is. But just being able to absorb those hits and be like, oh, that didn't really go the way that I planned it, but like, let's do this other thing instead of it going wrong and me just being like, because that's not helpful for me. It just makes everything worse because I'll just shut down.
Yeah, very much so. And like, I mean, we're all susceptible to shutdowns. But something for me, and it's saying I need to like, it's not habitual yet. I still need to tell myself, and it's like to be successful is to like already have a plan B, not like and be able to move forward. That Plan A is generally never. I could not tell you the last time a plan A has worked.
How many iterations of plans do you reckon we went through before we got to this podcast setup?
This setup alone has had multiple runs at it. Like, yeah, a lot.
I think Plan Bs kind of get a bad rap with, especially in kind of like the entrepreneur, like Instagram space of people being like, if you have a Plan B, you've already failed. But because it's like the easy way out, you can be like, oh, if my business doesn't work, I'll just work at Macca's, and then you end up working at Macca's.
Yeah, but like if the plan doesn't work, change the plan. Don't change the goal. Like that's one of the and to be fair, I have been the victim to that, especially in my younger days of like, oh, I tried this one thing and it didn't. I wasn't immediately successful. It didn't go good immediately. The whole thing's out the window. No, you goose. Like change the plan. Go again. I feel like Plan B's the negative connotation there.
They for sure get a bad rap, but I think it's maybe a better way to be able to kind of like vocalize it is not necessarily be like, well, Plan A is be a $1 million business person, Plan B is work at Macca's. That's probably not a good way to set it up. But if you're like, all right, so this is the plan for now, this is Plan A. But then we get 3/4 of the way there and go, actually, that's not destination. That's not the destination that we thought that we wanted to get to. But then we're able to pivot and be like, Plan B, this is the new destination. And you're probably not going to make it all the way to Plan B. And then you'll have to pivot again and be like, right, new thing. So, and that's kind of a continual thing that you're going to have to continue to go through, that you probably may never reach any of the destinations that you set, but they all progressed you along.
That ties into what you were saying earlier about just like little bits to move along. Have you ever heard them plans referred to as rounds? And so you're like, right, made it through round 1. Let's go round 2, round 3. Because now that gives it, that's right, gives it like a boost up now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Gives it a little zest on it.
You just had a bunch of camera switches. Anyway.
That's right. The zest.
No, I like that. I like the calling it round. I think just like the Plan B is either just like a 100 or 0 type mentality, and I feel like it kind of gets that. It gets like a bad rap for that a little bit.
Why do we? Because this is like, and I've been into it too. Maybe I just see it more now that the more we come up, oh, fancy, we're podcasters, but the more we come up in like the business scene, we get exposed to a lot more people now as well, which is interesting. And I get to meet a bunch of different people. We get to meet a bunch of like fun, interesting people. But that like all or nothing seems to be some like, yeah, I like it. It's either gonna be 100% this or nothing. What do you mean? Like 10% of that is still better than 100% of nothing. And like I feel like we get at this like large, broad spectrum now of people we get to interact with, and there is like people that are far more successful than you and I, and so on from there. Mate, ask what round they're on. I reckon they're triple digits at this point. Like things go wrong, but again, very, very like commonly you see people or speak to people that have that like round 1 out, like plan didn't work 100% of that. Right, it's gone now. Like why is it? Do you think that we are just very all or nothing as a race?
It is interesting. I think it is typically the people that either haven't done things with themselves or aren't going to do things with themselves have that all or nothing mentality. But it'd be like if we, not the podcast, we're not Joe Rogan, but
I'm bald. We're close.
That's got to count for something. But imagine if we did our first episode and then just went, oh, we're not Joe Rogan yet. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Oh, we've slogged through sometimes. But yeah, exactly. But like Joe Rogan once was like, this is a silly good. Joe Rogan has a podcast where he talks about he didn't want to do a podcast. Hated the idea of it.
Yeah, but I think that's a very like low level mentality of just being like either or it didn't work the first time or it's all or nothing. Be like, oh, but if I don't go to the moon, there's nothing in between. And that's not the case. Like you said, the most successful people are the people that are willing to have a plan B or are willing to pivot and be like, all right, this isn't necessarily exactly what, but you're not gonna learn that staying where you are. Like you're not gonna learn that from home base.
Yeah.
That like you, yeah, I don't know.
Every successful plan, whether that be making my bed, going for my walk, doing my cardio, going to the gym, no matter how low level it has all been dependent on my attitude of we're doing this. We got to get it done. Regardless of what happens throughout my day, my week, or the plan itself, we're moving forward. We got to get it done. Yeah.
Just stay the course.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, how do you plan to get anything done? And like, though we sound a little bit like preachy bitches, because we've both failed the heck out of stuff, multiple things. Everyone around me has seen me pick up and fail a project of some degree. And some of them, I was like, well, that's it. Then I can't do better than that. And that's where it is. Some of them are still going right now. Like it's just, but even like not even big things, man. Not even, because like to deal with stress, again, you really need to dig in sometimes and go to a plan B. The amount of times that I reckon we've all got up before and been like, right, today's the day. We're gonna start the diet today. We're gonna exercise today. We're gonna do this today. And then that brownie sitting on the bench gets the whole thing smashed. And then out of that, man, there was a point in my time in one of my like big lows where like my plan was to stand up and just walk around the house just because I had like become an absolute potato of depression through that. And it was like, right. And then so my thing was like hands on your knees, put your hands on your knees and then stand up out of the seat. And then that was it. Like that was the plan. It doesn't have to be a grand thing, just like anything. But that like, then the next day I was like, right, I got that far. Let's go the next point. Got that far. Let's go the next point. And sometimes it goes to shit, but
you also didn't limit yourself to like, well, I can't do a 10K run right now, so I'm not going to bother getting off the couch. Because that's what that all or nothing mentality does, is that all you needed in that moment was to be able to like get up and walk around the house.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen my whiteboard. Man, it was, because we should bring it in sometime. A lot of like tough love on that, because that's what I'd need to walk past it and be like, having a bad day, good. That, because like, that one resonates with me so hard. But yeah, and then to that, what it was like me walking to my whiteboard that just is filled with like quotes essentially, but like digs for me, because that's what helps me. They're just like digs of like, right, do better, do more, go harder. And that was eventually what started to pull me through like one of my biggest depression spirals ever. But yeah, good times. Got any fun stuff to add to this? I feel like I'm just bringing the mood down. Sorry, guys.
I was we got very derailed from where I was. We were touching on walking ages ago. And that's one of the things that I've kind of got in my list of kind of the tools that I use to create that inner peace for myself. The biggest one for me, and the one that I find I have the most resistance to the more that I need it, is meditation. I've sent, and that specifically I use the Headspace app, which is, it's sick actually. If you don't know how to meditate or like want to get into meditating,
you should message them. Ask them if they want to give us a banner for the podcast.
Yeah, hit us up. Give me a free subscription. That'd be mad. I'll shout you out even more than I am currently.
Shouting them out for free at this point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's genuinely like something that I use. But anyway, so I've actually, because when you have a subscription, you can send free trials to people. I've sent out a few free trials as of recently, but it's cool because they have, it's called their basics program, and it literally from like I've never meditated before, the first 10 sessions will just teach you how to do it. Because most of the time, like if you go on YouTube and type in like whatever meditation to go to sleep or whatever you're like trying to accomplish with meditation, you just get thrown in the deep end of the first one and you're just like, well, I don't know how, I feel like I'm just laying here listening to it. I don't know what's going on. So it's cool that they have a bit of a course, like an introductory course to meditation in general. The second thing I had was exercise with an emphasis on walking. So just in general, exercise is always going to make you like feel better, providing that you are sufficiently rested. I feel like exercise is a positive. I can definitely get myself into a place where I can be depleted enough that exercise will have a negative effect. But that's what's so good about walking is that it's very rare that you'll be so depleted that you can't go and do a couple of laps up and down in front of your house or like, and it almost will always make you feel better. And then I had good food and good sleep is massive for me. If I'm not sleeping properly, if I'm not eating food that makes me feel good, it brings everything unstuck.
Mate, Christmas time for that. Oh, because there's good food that's shit for you everywhere. Or it'll be good food that's good for you that you will eat shitloads. Guilty. Lunch at your house or at mum's house for Christmas. But yeah, so like very much so. And you notice that. It feels like almost similar, but like a hangover in the point of like you can smell the ham on your sweat.
Remember, we've spoken about this a few times on the podcast, but when we went to Threadbow last year, we just could not get good food. And we spent the entire week hiking this mountain because it was for the Cannonball Mountain Bike Festival for people that I guess haven't heard. That haven't heard us talk about this 3 times before. So we're like hiking up and down this hill for a week, filming a downhill mountain bike event, and just like lived off cheese pizza. It was horrible. I had no like nutritional food.
Yeah, the first time we had the pizza, we were like, "Oof, what a treat!" Because we had just driven 18 hours and lived off Monties essentially and servo chockies. And then so we drove that 18 hours, got in at night. So it was pretty much just, I think it was just, we just went to sleep the first night. Was it?
I can't remember.
Either way.
That's not important.
Yeah. But then, yeah. And then so our first like sustainable meal was a wood fire pizza, which a cheese wood fire pizza with some chippies on the side of a mountain. Oof, what a good time. The first time. And then every time after that sucked.
Oh man. I had, I think a bacon and eggs for breakfast one morning and paid $38 for it.
Sorry, that was towards the end too. We found a place because they were closed at the start and they did do a slapping breakfast.
It was outrageously. That was like the only protein dense food I had that entire week was that one lot of bacon and eggs, and it was like $38. It was outrageous. Anyway, good food and good sleep go a long way. I feel like in recent years, I've become a lot more, I was going to say sensitive. I'm not going to say that. I've become a lot more. Oh, no,
you're very sensitive.
I've become a lot more aware of how food makes me feel. And I tend to gravitate towards food that makes me feel good, not necessarily that just tastes good. I still obviously like food that tastes good, but I am much more in tune with how food makes me feel.
On that, learning like through my like weight journeys and like powerlifting and stuff, going from eating for fun to eating for purpose was real hard. It was a struggle for me, but then you train yourself into it where like, yeah, eating for purpose becomes this like almost natural thing to go to. I can still shit the bed on it very easily though. Love me some donuts. But yeah, it's I reckon it's such a hurdle to get around, hey, especially if you're new to eating for purpose. Very, very difficult.
And the last thing for me is caffeine timing. I think caffeine can be used as like such a good tool. And there's heaps of podcasts about how you should use caffeine and the timing of it and all of those things. Andrew Huberman actually has a super good podcast about caffeine timing, if that's something that you are interested in. This might get me in the swear jar, but you So you can use anything as a tool. So caffeine can be a very good tool for you to use. There's a fly in here and it's bothering me. Anyway, you can use caffeine as a tool, but you can also go to Bunnings and buy a hammer and you can build a house with it, or you can hit yourself in the dick.
I feel like that'd still class the PG line.
But it's a fact that you can do that. And you can do that with caffeine as well. You can do as much damage with caffeine as you can good if you don't get your timing right. So caffeine's a big one for me. I'm a caffeine enthusiast. But yeah, you got to do it right.
What were you building? Sorry, this is my brain, right?
Okay.
Of like, I now need to, what are you building that's where you hit with the hammer?
I don't necessarily mean that you did it by accident. I'm saying that...
So yeah, carry on.
If you can use caffeine as a tool and you can do something productive with it, or you can hit yourself in the dick with the hammer. Like...
I know what you're saying. I fully understand. I am an immature idiot, and I can't help but laugh at how you present that. But yes, it can be as harmful as it is useful to you. Say something, Jack. Take the camera off me.
I just wanted to leave the camera on you for a little bit longer, so it made you... I just wanted to make it weird. Anyway. All right, let's wrap this up before it
gets real weird.
Yeah, before it derails any harder than it already has. If you enjoyed this episode, give us a share. It helps a whole bunch. Where obviously everything has taken a bit of a downturn since our hiatus. So likes, shares, comments, all of that stuff helps us out a whole bunch. And do you have anything else to wrap up with?
Yeah, I want to hear more of the feedback. I've enjoyed building the setup and so on from there. So like I like that. Definitely move that across from us. Give us your thoughts on our new Elgato setup as well.
We're just shouting out everyone today.
Everyone.
Everyone that we pay money to, we're shouting out.
Yeah. But, I mean, like, if you enjoy the product, why not? But yeah, definitely, I like hearing feedback from all sorts of stuff. That's what I enjoy, 100%. Anything we sort of want to do a show where we are watching an event. I feel like that'll be fun. And even if it bombs, it's too bad it's already on the internet. Move on.
And if it sucks, no one will see it.
Yeah. We'll still probably do a few more of them.
I mean, we're still doing the podcast.
Fair. I mean, 70,000 play. I'm pumped on that. Potentially might even look at getting some people in to watch something with us. We can set up a room. That'd be a time. And the swear jar applies to everyone that's in the room as well. I'll set that up for next week as well. What are we in? 10 each, was it?
We're in debt is what we're in.
All right.
All right. See you guys.
Love yous.